Greetings, Mindcrafters, and welcome to another exciting discussion today. You can tell it's still rifle season. I've got my Notice Me hat on, which doesn't necessarily mean it's hunting season, but it does today. And I'm also realizing I'm out here a little close to dusk. There's been a lot of bear here, big ones. You can tell by the poops. But I'm thinking they're sleeping, hopefully, for a long winter's nap. Anyway, we'll see. My name is Kimberly Quinn, and I am here today to have a discussion with you, another Mindcraft discussion on cultivating spirituality. And so, before you hang up on me, hopefully you won't, this is not about religion, not at all. It's about spirituality and how we really cannot, become aware of our authentic self and live our best life, live the highest version of ourselves until we become aware of and sort of reside in the fact that there's a power greater than all of us. Now again, before you hang up on me, not preaching, and I'm not talking about organized religion. All that's there if you want to go find it somewhere else. I'm talking about acknowledging that the creator of all things, higher power, source, for me it's God, for you it might be the universe, or source with a capital S, or again, higher power. The 12-step programs are big on the higher power, and that whole thing is about surrendering, and letting go and letting go of everything to the higher power. Doesn't mean we're not making the effort, and that's not what I mean. But it takes the pressure off, honestly. I don't know. I can't imagine going through life thinking it was all on my shoulders. I mean, that's just such big pressure, and the backstory of, I grew up in a very turbulent, sometimes violent home, and when I lived out of my car for a while, I was like 17, and I used to go up to the mountains where I'm from in New York. It's actually just about an hour outside of Manhattan, but it looks as the illusion of rural. Now it's getting a little bit White Plainsy, but I used to go up to the traps up at Mohonk, which is the name of it up there. It was so pretty, and I used to just sit in my car, not knowing there was a word for it, being mindful, praying or whatever, but I used to just palms up, and I'd crack the window just in case I fell asleep. I don't die of carbon monoxide or anything. And honest to goodness, I don't know how I would have gotten through all of that without having such a deep faith. And obviously that's, again, it's not preachy. It's not about, it's spiritual. It's about acknowledging that there's divine in me and there's divine in you, and that the divine in me is connected to the divine in you. We are all connected. It's so huge to really get that. And I think until we really do get that, we can't really figure out and reside in our most authentic, truest self. It's just really true. And another thing, this is just my opinion, and that in 450 might get you a Red Bull, I don't know. But it's my opinion that that's a large part of what's going on with the young adult generation right now. It certainly isn't all of it, because it's complicated. There's a lot going on in the world politically, and the pandemic, systemic racism continues. There's obviously all of that stuff. And also social media plays a huge role. And I'm only basing this on what I hear from my students, and also out there I read. So it's not just that. It's not as narrow as that. But many of them, not all, many of them don't. They say it. They don't believe in a higher power. Like what's going on with the sunrises and the sunsets and golden retriever puppies and the woods, and when we have a really intimate conversation with somebody we love and care about and all that kind of thing. That's really all we're talking about, and that, really, again, just getting it that we're all connected. So cultivating spirituality and realizing that we know this for a fact. We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And it seems, and again, I try to separate opinion from fact, not my opinion, but I think it's a pretty out there opinion, that there's a whole, if you, across the globe, the whole point of being here on this earth is to figure stuff out, right? To learn how to love each other better and, advance spiritually and all that kind of thing. And so it's so important to cultivate spirituality so we can be more joyful on the inside, have more inner peace, and also get through the hard stuff. Because if it's all on our two shoulders, then that's just, to me, that's just overwhelming pressure. Because if we look at it as we're all connected, that's when that best friend comes in the door, and the divine in her or him or them reaches out to the divine in us and shares that burden. I mean, it's just so important. So cultivating spirituality is super basic. It's super basic. It's pretty much wrapped up in mindfulness and gratitude are two of them. Because, you know, the source, creator of all things, universe, whatever, is in the now and nowhere else. In the now. So this is another reason to practice mindfulness, because if you want to sort of uncover your authentic self, your divine self, this perfect spirit mixed in with all the human experience, your perfect spirit. You know, I don't like that word. It's true when it comes to your divine self, though. The only way to really do that is start off being mindful, and then of course being grateful, because we talked about it, a grateful heart. There's no room for anxiety and depression, self-doubt. We're going to do a whole nother episode on that, like doubt and jealousy and envy and shame and guilt and all the rest of it. Because gratitude, and when a heart is filled with gratitude, think about this, there isn't any room to want to harm anybody or ourselves. There isn't room to want to harm or wish harm on anybody. And so it's just so important, mindfulness and gratitude. And then definitely being out in nature helps. So the first two are kind of like boxes that kind of need to be checked for that. Being out in nature, like how do you look around? How do you look at little G in his hunting outfit and not think there's a creator of all things that's bigger than all of us? I mean, I don't know how. Never mind when he was a little fluffy little baby. It's just huge. And then also, of course, to cultivate gratitude also means to share the love. And here's the other thing, it's all like a cycle, because we cannot give what we don't have. It's kind of like when people, I'm always stuck on that little thing. It's kind of like when people talk about borrowing money and stuff, and they'll say, you know, like, hey, you can't get blood from a turnip, or, you know, you can't get blood from a rock or money, whatever. And that is also very true with love. If we don't have, you know, sort of like all this abundance going on the inside, here's the news. There's nothing to give away. And so, since really, you know, we are spiritual beings living a human experience, that means that, you know, and even if you're a science nerd, because I totally appreciate that, because I got a big science nerdy part of me too. Even if we go with Isaac Newton, not an object of motion. Well, we can change matter into energy and energy into matter, but we can never destroy either one. Can't be destroyed. That means, you know, the divine in all of us is forever. I mean, it just is. And so we can cultivate it and tap into it via mindfulness, via gratitude. Walking around in nature is a definite bonus. And the other big one is to do good things for other people. Do nice things for other people. It's not attached to religion unless you want it to be, because we just know that. I mean, culturally across the globe, people are saying the same thing. And whatever we do to other people, you know, we do it to ourselves. It goes both ways, though. Both ways. And remember that really the whole point of being here, again, is to grow as people. And we do that by sharing sharing our lives, sharing our stories, sharing the love, sharing the acceptance, sharing all the good stuff inside of us, being a good vibe. And this is why it's so important to cultivate spirituality, so we can live our very best selves, live our like, I'm talking about vibration now, living at our highest vibration, having amazing inner peace and joy, and just, you know, bringing even more, inviting more abundance into our lives. And when we walk around filled up, we talked about being filled up. When we walk around being filled up, we naturally want to do other things for people. We just attract more goodness. And since we're so filled up, we also become more, and with gratitude, of course, we become more generous with ourselves, sharing that stuff. So when we cultivate spirituality, it not only benefits us as far as residing in our authentic self in the driver's seat and being enormously more peaceful and joyful and all of it and loving. Think about how that spreads around the globe. I mean, just in little itty bitty bits. You know, just even if we don't open our mouth or do anything, we radiate goodness. And so that's all, the divine source that connects us all. And that's really, really all I'm trying to say here. So, this is Kimberly Quinn signing off from the gorgeous woods right about before the bears start to come out, and hopefully they're sleeping. Yep. So, have a spiritual day.